ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, TheScoreEsports.com, Mountain Dew, and ESEA.
One best of two done, and another one to look forward to right now here at the ESL Pro League, our second day of our 4th season. 14 teams and $750,000. It's a whole load of money for those guys, and I've got two people here. I've got Yanko and Pansy to talk about some games. This time, it is the FaZe matchup, and it's an intriguing story with FaZe. We kind of touched on it before, Yanko, kind of so hot and cold, the 16-0 versus Team X, of course, conceding that just to highlight just yesterday. Now they come up against VP, who didn't look too shabby, Lauren. We saw them yesterday. These guys seem to be in pretty solid form after the back of E-League.
Yeah, Virtus.Pro look pretty decent. Again, though, it's early days, and it's hard to find the balance of where everyone is currently, which is what I'm waiting to see, is how this whole league balances out. For me, though, FaZe is just strange to watch. Alu was not operating to the level that most people expected. Kiyoshima had a quiet game. AZ wasn't that great on train either.
A clutch.
Yeah, like a couple of moments here and there, but again, it's still early in this league to find out who's actually playing well or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the real discussion does have to start with that FaZe result, just because it's so hard to understand. Just a reminder, by the way, guys, they actually did do okay in the Pro League. It's just outside of that where we did see some very confusing results, and it does mean that we can't help but question FaZe and where they're at right now. They've always been quite intermittent. Where do their biggest successes come from, Yanko? I mean, their roster's changed so much since then. Can we even apply these successes to them? Cluj is what I was trying to hint at.
Yeah, I mean, but that was such a long time ago, and you know, such a different roster that you really can't. Unfortunately for them, once they started improving with the older lineup, right up to the major, they were great in the major qualifiers, but then they end up in the group of death, right? Even they're managing to take a map off of Fnatic, but not making it out of the groups eventually. I think it's really hard to pinpoint them, and it's going to be like that for some time, I feel like, because, as I said, players coming back from vacations, it's really sketchy and messy, and you can see that, teams still go for their own executes and stuff. Yeah. It's just that the trade kills are not there, right? You can see, instead of a player getting 1 kill and then immediately being traded and things start moving on, he gets 2 or 3 kills and, completely stops the attack right there, because players are just not 100% yet, I feel like.
Something I wanted to raise with you, Lauren, actually, just because you said it over on the cast in a previous game where you were criticizing Team X for depth and struggling to close. Now, I'd like to know your opinion, both from a caster, also way back when you were playing this idea of just because this applies across all esports. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. There is a reason I'm saying this. It's because in every game there's always a critical point of depth. Like, you have to have depth to your game. What do you think you define depth in gaming as?
I do think that sometimes people fall into the trap of thinking depth means you need to have playbook filled with a massive strategy. It's not necessarily that. It's being able to adapt small pieces of maybe just either your defaults. If you're losing out on your defaults, how do then you change it to come back into it, or how do you then play against a certain team if they have aggressive CT sides? How do you come into that? Depth of play isn't just the fact of having a million strategies. It's how to change those small pieces to actually create a successful play coming off the back of it again. But that takes incredibly good presence of mind, good in-game leaders to be able to read the game and what's actually causing their issues. Again, I don't think FaZe has that capability. They can depend on individual players to go off, but you saw it in that game, especially on train CT side. Keo was being outdone on B almost every single time. That was being hit every time. It was a very obvious play, even when AZ was pushing down Ivy, getting the info that no one was coming A, but then Ali was still not quite there either, and it was just a set piece on B. And we didn't see an answer for it. I'm hoping we get to see FaZe maybe a little bit warmer than that. Because actually, I think we have almost the exact same map ball again. So, yeah. But for me, I just think FaZe did lack a little bit of depth to some degree. But normally, you don't see them having to worry about it, especially against teams like Team X. In the games we saw, they didn't have to go that deep to it.
Anything to add to that kind of discussion then, Yanko, regarding, FaZe often criticized as being one of the teams with the least depth.
Yeah, it's not just about death. I mean, for them, it's also the most basic aspects of strategy, so to speak, right? I mean, for example, what I noticed about FaZe early on, that they never fake. When they go for when you see the smokes coming in or whatever, the action is coming in, that's going to be a bomb site they're going to hit, and that's something that makes it much easier for teams to play against them. You can just over rotate at that point and makes it harder for FaZe to win rounds, right? You need to, I agree with what Lauren said, and I would add to that death means diversity in your playstyle, right? Having those set pieces, but also having some faster executes, looser playstyle, exactly for the reason that you can't be easy to predict for your opponents.
And predict is the key word, because that's what I'm going to be poking for now, Lauren. Do you have any faith in the FaZe boys? I mean, I can imagine it's quite hard to see past Virtus.Pro.
There's always percentage chance with these guys because you never know what they're coming in like on the day. But again, when you look at Virtus.Pro on Train, I find it hard to go against them. So Virtus.Pro for me.
And for Train, Yenko, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the VP as well.
Yeah, well, it's a good map for VP. FaZe, however, are going to have to prove us wrong. It does seem like the desk is leaning towards the polls. Let's see what the boys from FaZe can do in this casting duo. Is none other than Henry G and Sadakist. Enjoy this one.
I feel like we'd be FaZe fans now that we're in Vape Nation. Doesn't that just kind of go hand in hand?
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, so maybe we should be.
FaZe up, Vape. I probably got that all wrong. Vape Nation?
Yeah.
I'll be on another cringe video for doing hand things that aren't accurate. I do some good things with my hands.
You are good with your hands. I'll give you that.
I am very, very good. We are going to see some good Counter-Strike. Virtus.Pro, better start than last year already. Go 1-1 on opening night. That's right. Yep. It took them, I think, 10 tries last year to pick up their first one, and it was a 1-1 split against Dignitas at the time than when they finally did it. So off to a better start, undoubtedly. But I think this is still a reasonable test. More so because, look, you talked about the top rivalries of 2016. It was on HLTV. There was 3 that were mentioned. This wasn't one of them, and I can understand why. It's not, in my opinion, a full rivalry. But FaZe has had Virtus.Pro's number in certain dynamics, especially on Cash. Never forget, different roster, but it just kind of lingers on.
Well, speaking of different roster as well, now we have Alu coming into it. Didn't impress me on the first time we saw him, I have to say. It looked a little bit disappointing. But it was that the first night him being part of the roster. Now, they've had a couple of days now. Let's work it out. Let's see what he can bring to the table here. We are going to be getting straight into this one, ladies and gentlemen. FaZe versus Virtus.Pro. The first map is Train, of course, and we'll be FaZe starting on the CT side here with our 4 sets of armor. Alu with that HE grenade and the utility in form of the diffuse kit as well. Okay, so he must have dropped over a pistol to teammates, I guess. We'll see what he decides to do. He's got that HE grenade for the retake coming in as well. So that's due towards the inside area. Primarily when the bomb goes down, you're able to chuck that over and hopefully deny it, but we'll have a look at VP's buy as well. 2 smokes, 3 flashbangs, 3 sets of armor. Currently setting themselves up for 3 players towards Ivy at the moment as well. So this would be some sort of outside split coming in. Smoking towards the left-hand side of Ivy and trying to stifle the players on the CT side and lock them into that bomb site where you're getting the attention from.
I have a feeling this is going to be the wrap, though. This is going to be pushed through CT.
Spawn?
I think so, because they're actually already causing their rotations. But the problem is they've got to confront 2 players at exactly this position, Ivy. And AZ's already won the first battle on Bialy. It'll be traded. Pashek's getting Rain. They finally win this, but the rotations are already back toward B. They have to confront on the way by the 3rd alley right there. And Jacob, he takes down Taz. So yes, they'll get the plant, but now 2 players inside B have to play dead efficient for Virtus.Pro. Now, they have stayed alive long enough to force that rotation off of the 3rd alley, and it may actually favor them if Pasha can get in position fast enough, and he's going to have to do exactly that. He's gone. Jacob holds him off. He was already so far removed. They just weren't efficient enough, and unfortunately, they ran into a very passive setup in the A site. So running through CT, not really something that's viable in that situation. So you've got to be very quick to get there, in my opinion.
Yeah, you need to be getting that first kill. We need to have that element of surprise. Normally, you smoke off to the right-hand side when no one's facing you at all. You assume the players will be on the right. So you smoke to the right, and then you can go towards CT spawn. It's a tactic that definitely hasn't been explored enough in gun runs, I think. It's very interesting to see that happen. If you can get towards those backtracks, get towards CD spawn as well, it's very unpredictable. It's sort of hard to hold off as well, but doesn't really work out for VP this time. They got the bomb down, so it looks like they've actually forced up in the second round after getting that plant down. We discussed this on the desk before. It's still definitely an option, and things can happen with this one, especially you had the smokes on Train as well, but they've got 2 scouts, 2 Tech 9s and a PT-50 in the hands of Neo as well, but you can see they have got Molotovs. The bomb is in the hand of Neo as well. I'm sure they'll be holding up. They want to try and work out what kind of weapons the CTs have available for them. They're going to have 2 SMGs, 3 M4s. So this could be interesting. They get the bomb down towards inside side with that smoke down as well. They've got the long range potential with that scout, or 2 of them as well. We'll see whether they can actually do anything with this round. It's obviously the more safer option to go for the 3rd round AKs, but if you can make this round happen, as we discussed before, it's almost like winning the pistol again.
In a lot of ways, yeah. It definitely, it's an interesting game with the economy. I think CSGO, especially with the money dynamics in terms of the loss round bonus, it's become a different game in that sense. And just the force buys, that's why we often talk about teams making and trying to make them more viable. But this shut down already on the way through. Good damage dealt from the nade onto default. Bomb dropped and Rain flanking it out. It's going to spot that, takes down Snacks. All 5 still alive at this point, and Rain, oddly enough, goes for the repeak with only 10 HP. He's got the UMP, so it's definitely worth it. Gets 3 kills with it, builds up money, and a quick flash to get himself back in position. Very good activity from FaZe in terms of rotations. getting information early and not allowing any opening for Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, no bomb planted as well, so that force spike didn't really amount to anything whatsoever. They go towards that inside side, but you can see that FaZe were playing very passively back. The M4s are spraying them down. They started showing themselves before the smoke even bloomed the lower ramp, so they had a complete vision control of that situation. And it's going to be 2-0 in favor of FaZe here, going to the third round. It's almost a redundant buy from VP, a few PT50s. It's a guaranteed round. The only real objective of this one is try and get the bomb down in any sort of manner, but that's a very unlikely scenario to actually occur. It's Rain, though. He's actually gone past Taz here, who's edging towards Ivy. This could be interesting. He's probably going to get one kill out of this. I don't think AZ will be expecting this whatsoever.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that Taz is also calling that, oh, guys, it's clear. And now he's going to realize, never mind, Rain got behind me. So the same thing goes in reverse. And bomb dropped. Rain gets 2 quick kills. Taz, all right, he's down there, but he's only managed 1 to start it off. And Alu going to close him. Just next remaining bomb to come out, or rather, excuse me, bomb to be dropped, but also guns to come out, rather, this round for Virtus.Pro. So now we really get into the action. But again, you mentioned it could have been interesting in that Taz gets a little bit more information than he should, but the one missing thing is that he called him right into a trap.
Yeah, so it was good for 1 kill, but you're absolutely right. Rain definitely got the lion's share of the kills as he pushed through into main entrance. But the problem is for VP after that force buy in the second round, they don't get the AWP on the T side here in the first gun round. They're going to be limited slightly. There's no AWPs for FaZe either, but they're just trying to keep their money strong going into this first gun round. You can see AZ still on that UMP. Definitely a viable weapon on train. Lots of close range position. You want to go towards Ivy or even close up a main entrance. Rain's going to be holding up close towards main, and Jacob's pushing through the smoke here, so they've got a lot of vision. AZ, he doesn't want to go for kills in this point. You can see on his screen, I was about to say he just wants to get info, but he does get his head ripped off by Pasha.
Jacob gonna wait. Smoke to cover him off. That's a really good shot on the way in from Neo, because smoke to cover Jacob off in that position, he's easily able to swing, get the shot, dissolve into the smoke, and get back to the site with safety. That's a huge kill, because now they can't trade it. They've got 2 inside of the site with bomb going down, and FaZe just have 2 left to go against a 4-player retake. Alu going to try and advance out forward, misses the opportunity as he looks away from the smoke. It was actually Taz on low HP. They've tagged down Bialy as well, 1 HP for him to work with. Kiyoshima is already looking to get out. I think Alu's going to try and do the same. There's smoke off on this third alley. The first gap open, second one, okay, so smoke's dissolved, but either way, no one peeking it. They should keep these M4s.
Yeah, at this point. They still have money, residual cash left over from those clean rounds they had in the first 3, so there's still opportunities to get the AWP out. Yeah.
And not only that, if they can hold them near the bomb site with Taz and Bialy both low, they could go down with the bomb. It's more gun money out of the hands of Virtus.Pro, who are now going to pick up their first round. 3-round reset at the start of the half. Again, it's not a full reset, but it's early on. They're just getting their economy rolling, so that's a big forced rebuy, and Bialy does go down. Taz, he's able to survive, but it's at least 1 more AK gone.
Yeah, Bialy had 1 HP, so he was almost certainly going to die there when he was exiting. So just like I said, FaZe money is still absolutely fine. That was a bit of a gamble from them. Keep the UMP, no AWPs in the hand of Alu. So this is the round. We actually saw him yesterday. It was actually quite a poor performance from him on train overall. He's playing that connector area. Didn't really seem to be too dynamic. Wasn't going to aggressive positions like himself. Like Guardian's one of those amazing players who's so good on this map because he goes and faces towards Ivy at the start of the round. He'll go lower ramp. He'll be aggressive. He'll actively be hunting for picks. We didn't see that from Alu. I'm sure he's going to address that. Your teammates would have looked back on that demo and said, you were just sitting in connector, getting smoked out, and you weren't really having any impact whatsoever on the CT side. That's something he needs to be working on. I'd like to see him come towards that upper ramp area, towards inside as well, hold that anchor position. We get into this round, it's round number 5, and VP have gone for the upper platform control. This is so important. If you get to this area nice and early, the CTs have no idea of it. Your opportunities are so open at this point. You can see Bialy setting up a smoke towards outside. They can do lots of fakes from this position as well. Was that a missed frame rate?
Yeah, he bounced it.
Why not? Oh yeah, okay.
If he didn't bounce it, it lands, I think, just in front of the default spot, so you can plant inside of the smoke. I'm not 100%, I'm pretty sure that's where it lands. It lands a little bit more light than when you normally throw them into A. But Taz getting into Kyo, so it was a fake smoke anyway. All right, he missed it, but it ultimately won't affect the transition in toward the B site. However, what will is some fast kills from Rain and Jacob. 3 unanswered now, make it 4 for FaZe, as this was a round that Virtus.Pro started off well. They're going to get the bomb potentially down. Bialy tries to fake it out, but this isn't a wise decision considering they're so close. And even if he finds one, he's allowing movement for FaZe to get closer, and that means no bomb plant at all. He could have just stuck that out, tried to get a little bit more cash moving forward. But FaZe now pick up their 4th and reset Virtus.Pro early.
We kind of had a discussion the other day with Kiyoshima holding that inside bomb site by himself. He doesn't really ever seem good for 1 kill, doesn't he? Like, he does get the information, but he challenges so much. He gets his head blown off. He's in that position at the back of the bomb train where they can just see your head right. So if they land a single bullet, you're going down. And he seems to be struggling to actually hold them off or even delaying them. Luckily, his teammates come in for a very successful retake. VP don't even get the bomb down there. So that's a full reset going into round number 6. They just got that similar situation we saw before. PT50s and some Glocks as well. They have purchased 4 smoke grenades. So this will be towards the outside outside, and I can see the bomb. That's actually currently waiting towards the dumpster as well. So they'll just be going straight towards outside, try and get that plant down. It's basically not, they're not going to try and get any kills here. If they can get a plant, get that extra $800 in the bank, then that's something to work with here. But you can see Jacob, he's in front of the smoke. He'll be the player locking this down. There's the first kill. Takes down Neo. He should get a few here. Actually, he ends up getting one.
This is a smart adaptation from Rain. Okay, well, he goes down as well. So Rain gets above the smokes, knowing that, okay, they're going to be on pistols. I can afford to get aggressive on this peak. Even if I'm outnumbered, he can pick and choose his battles with headshot positions on top of the train with the elevation. But him going down early, this allows the bomb plant to come through for VP. So mission accomplished in that sense. Very good smoke setup and activity. Snacks on top of that. He's picked up an AK-47, so on top of this bomb train, smoke again on top of him. That's so they can try and come in and get the fast defuse. That will work as Kiyoshima spots the gun barrel protruding through, and he himself will close the round against Pasha. 5-1 now for FaZe, but Virtus.Pro, I like the approach in that round.
Like I said, when FaZe, they read that situation coming in. They know they're fully eco. They're probably going to try and get the plant down here. If you see the smokes coming over as well, let's get in front of them and use our firepower to lock them down. But the PT-50 work from VP was actually pretty impressive. They get the bomb plant and a couple of players of the FaZe team down as well. But a different approach here for FaZe. You can see AZ, he seems to be the secondary AWP in this new, fresh look of FaZe here. So he'll be picking up the AWP as well, be taking that towards Ivy. And once again, no AWP's really rolling for VP as of yet. Snacked does like to AWP on this map as well. And we'll see whether he can bring that to the table eventually. But Tad's going aggressive. They're going to be Molotov out of position as well. Jacob takes him down. He does get an opportunity to get a kill towards Ivy, but doesn't really work out like that. Takes quite a lot of damage, but he has managed to flash him off now, reposition himself. And this is great from Kiyoshima. This is the kind of play you want to be seeing from an inside player. Have the audacity to push into those upper platforms and get tons of information out. He doesn't need to go any further in that position, right? He can just hold there and allow 4 teammates to be outside. And Alu chiming in, Jacob as well. Round over at this point. It's a 5-on-2. Just Snacks and Bialy remain. And there's not really much they can do there. It's going to be a clean sweep here for FaZe. Lovely work from them. That's actually a really impressive round. We discussed this whole addition of Alu coming in and whether he's actually going to slot into the dynamic. They're also obviously taking over from Fox's role. Fox on this train was actually, also on this map, was actually very good on train. He actually was one of the main AWPers who was getting most of their frags, but seems like Alu's having a good day today. 6-0, Matthew.
Yeah, decent start. I mean, even in the round they lost, he got out. He was the one that saved one of the M4s. Rain starts this off aggressively. Again, he wants to get toward the ladder room, shut down any movement, and from the upper hallways, be in a position for rotations. It's just generally a good spot to be if you can get there without much risk. And knowing he's up against pistols, granted, there is Tech 9s. If they rush down the ladder, there's a chance they can trade against him. It's not a bad situation to get aggressive. Kiyoshima as well. We talk about an AWP in this position, but an M4 instead. And he's got the range game dinked up, though. Needs to be careful. M4 dropped at the corner. That's potential to be re-grabbed, so they're going to try and rotate Jacob over to watch that, but Taz, it's in reach, so he's able to grab that, fall away. It's one gun to work with. Smoke out, that'll allow a fast drop, and Jacob's going to try and compensate for that by playing an angle that he'll see both the plant and the lower entry point. So this is actually, I actually quite like this. The problem is he's got a time window on this, obviously. When that smoke's gone, he's got to get away.
But at the same time, VP have they've waited the smoke, but they don't do anything with it. So his idea is, okay, if they don't use the smoke and come in, then I've got opportunities to fall back. There is one more, though. They can use it on lower ramp. That grenades could be so deadly, though. VP don't actually go in just yet. The Molotov drops right in front of them. The options are limited now. That's the utility expended. I think Pasha has one more smoke, so they have to wait. He'll have to re-smoke, and they'll go in. But at this point, they are locked into this area, and it's going to be easy kills here for Alu. Okay, apparently not. It's going to be Jacob, though. He should finish things off here.
And Bialy snaps back on him. That's the M4 picked up. It's still only a one-man advantage right now. And Alu, he's gone to the pistol up close, but it is 2 kills for him, and he's up to 8-0. It may not be the AWP hit that you expect, but he's still being effective. That's all that matters. 7-1 now for FaZe.
Well, finally some money coming in for VP. It's just not enough to get the AWP. I think the top bankroll was about $5,400, so that doesn't really justify your full AWP buy here. So VP need to be careful. This is one that's slightly starting to spiral out of control here. You can see Neo 1 for 7, and same story for Snacks as well. Snacks is one of the more impactful players with that AWP. And we're going to round number 9 here. This is where you want to see FaZe go a little bit more aggressive and shut down any adaptations that VP might be bringing to the table. And there it is, Alu's going towards the lower round. It's what I wanted to see, Matt. He's going aggressive. Can he land his first shot? He actually can't. He gets taken down by Pasha. It's what we want to see from Alu, but Kiyoshima, this is a risky play. Pushes through the fire. Let's actually get the kill on towards Taz, though. And a double as well. Snacks drops, and he's recovered. We did criticize Kiyoshima on his inside bomb set, but now he looks like he's changing up his ideas almost every single round. He's being a bit more aggressive, and a thorn in VP's side at the moment. Well, 3 players survive for now. 1 minute 15 remaining on the clock as well. Haven't really got any real estate to work with. They have the man disadvantage as well. Currently, there are 2 players for FaZe in the inside area. We have got Jacob in the connector as well. It's quite a passive hold outside, but AZ's on the back tracks, just patrolling that area, calling for the rotations if they're required.
On AZ. Capable on the AWP, not often we see it. To me, he still hasn't hit the level he was at with Dignitas at the very end.
No, I agree. He was like he was like potentially one of the best up and coming players in Dignitas, right? He was like, that was it. He was going to be the next superstar of the game. And as soon as he came into this lineup, it's not been like he's been bad performance or a bad player. It's just he's not. He's
cut his hair.
He's not hitting the headlines anymore.
Delilah, is that you? Did you cut his hair, Delilah? Jacob pushing up, but Bialy.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, big time. Shot a little bit too soon. Had the shadow to work with as well, so you can actually tell almost which way he's looking with that shadow.
AZ.
Okay, AZ. We said you were on Dignitas. You're not still on Dignitas. You are on FaZe. That is your teammate. Thankfully, Rain's undeterred by this, and then he almost gets a lineup as well. He did get Pasha, who walks into his own crosshair. AZ will close it out on Neo, but a little bit awkward for a moment. FaZe now 8-1 Virtus.Pro Train. This used to be a map we talked about. They were dominant on this. I think they were the best map of the team in the world on this map.
Bulldozer people on this map. They were so aggressive towards outside, just running out with Pasha leading the charge with the AK-47 as well. Then the rounds where he was lurking towards Ivy. He was so influential. He's going on 4 for 9. No one's really turning up for VP as of yet, but this has been a much better performance from FaZe than what we saw yesterday on Train. They're looking a lot stronger, a lot more confident with their aggressive stances, and I think they've had some time just to go over the basic methodology of how they're going to approach situations. This time, Rain, he goes towards Pop Dog. It's looking like an inner approach, though, from VP. Once again, no order to play over. Look at the utility map. They've got 2 smokes. This has to be a very simple execution here. Smoke upper, smoke lower, 1 flash to work with. Get in, hope you get that plant down. Alu, not so aggressive, but we can see we've got 2 players with rifles waiting on the other side. This is a great setup.
It's a really good setup, considering we often see a solo anchor B. 3 players here. They're in the smoke. Rain will spot, but makes the right decision. Takes down Neo's a lot closer. Threat awareness, well, covered off. But Snacks did take Kiyoshima in the meantime, and that may allow the bomb to cross. Not at all. Rain's there. He's got 2 more. As Taz enters in from upper, he's immediately taken down from Alu, who's got the vision from Z Connector. And not a single soul lost on entry. Kiyoshima went down early. Again, you talked about him kind of dying in that site, but he wasn't solo this time, and they were able to trade it immediately.
It's a great read. And the in-game leader should be proud of himself after that one. You can see VP were clutching at straws. The outside bomb site wasn't working for them whatsoever. They actually make a pretty ballsy call. I guess it's the idea where we've got AZ outside with the AWP. He can hold those backtracks. He can give us early information. We can see the smokes coming over. Or go all in towards that inside area. And they had 2 rifles and Alu covering them as well. So what a perfect setup that's been. And the money, obviously maximum loss bonus now for VP, but that's only $3,400, man. He didn't get the bomb down last round as well. So they've taken the pause. Take the pressure off. Let's work out what's going wrong here. I think the money's been the main issue for me. Lots of force buys. And they all spiraled out from that second round force buy. Like, they could have gone into the 3rd of the AKs and potentially had a stronger start here. They did actually win the first gun round, but it was just the answer back from FaZe. As soon as Alu got the AWP, and now they've got that double AWP set up. They're pretty much set up for the game for the money as well. You can see Alu, $12,000.
Well, for the half.
Yeah, obviously. AZ, 13K. Rain, 8K as well. They're in a very strong position right now. And this is a new look to FaZe. They've been known to play a very default game and been relying on their aim stars. If that didn't happen on a certain day, then they'd be in a horrible situation. This is actually looking like they're being adaptive. They're changing their CD setup every single round. That's probably the strongest way to play Train. And the big names are turning up for once. Alu, like we said yesterday against X, had a very poor game on Train, but this time he's actually looking like he's leading the charge here. It's actually Rain who's top fragging.
Yeah.
But Alu still, he's not just playing the connector area every single round. We've seen him change his position up.
And, I mean, to be fair, to flip the coin on this, we talked about Virtus.Pro. They got a map on the opening night. That's better than they did last year. Look, whatever your opinions are about them being back in the league, considering their performance last year, we don't want to see this again. We don't want to see this online Virtus.Pro coming out flat, especially on a map they know and they're good on. It's such a weird
anomaly, isn't it? Just one E-League.
You got to wonder. I mean,
what are the factors here? Online play traditionally should be easier for you. That's where you play your best, at home, at your own desk.
But that's what I think is the opposite. I think these guys have been playing so long, they're just so used to land conditions that when they're not together, they slack off a bit. I think their communication's off. It's just a mental thing. I really do think so. And Neo's going to take down AZ. Although that starts off considerably well, Rain's right back into it with a pistol up close because he has to swap away from his rifle, having depleted most of his ammunition. And Bialy, well, 19 HP, not really going to be able to do much from this position quite clearly. So Snacks will be the one to try and probe out for information early on. And Bialy actually gets found before he can even find anything himself. So it's going to go 10-1 to FaZe.
This could be a quick one there. VP, I think they have made the right decision. Obviously, their maximum loss bonus here, that wasn't really even a partial by that. A few Tech 9s and PT50s. Now they have the cash. We can finally see the AWP come out. There it is, Snacks. I think it's the first time in this half it's a double AWP setup. Okay, so they're throwing the rulebook out for T's side of Train. Just going to be trying to work the picks here. It'll be a much slower pace round. Go for the full-on default. Probably be Pasha towards Ivy area. Snacks towards that main entrance is hoping that FaZe is getting a bit ahead of themselves, getting very confident, going for those aggressive peaks and trying to lock down the kills. That can happen in a certain scenario. When you're having such a good game, you're feeling so confident. That's when you can start to be a little bit more out of control and trying to push and get in the heads of the terrorists. So I wouldn't be surprised if round works for VP. They'll probably be very patient. You see it on the winning map right now, spreading themselves out, looking for any initial pushes here. But Alu, this is exactly what not on the C-map. He's actually at the upper platform now. And you can see, if we can just bring up the mini-map quickly, you can see now, actually probably a bad time to do it, but you can see this actually left him by himself towards that inside area.
Good hit.
And AZ landing that first shot. That's...
I mean, they're leaving him on this double up setup. I mean, it's an interesting thing as well with the evolution of this team. We'll talk about that in a minute, because remember, they had two prominent ops in Michael Lilly and Fox. Yeah. Obviously, they have one now in Alu, but who would normally pick up the second AWP? AZ's not the one I would have thought, but he's going for it this game, and, well, results speak for themselves. So far, so good. I think a lot of that has to do with Virtus.Pro, obviously, allowing this kind of thing to happen. Alu gets to the corner inside. Powerful position, but good shot from Snacks. Catches Jacob midair. Finally something to get going on this entrance point on the A site. They've worked toward quad. And Kiyoshima, he'll try and climb up to heaven to spot that as they get closer into hell, but Pasha walks in from the Ivy, takes down AZ, and now Rain has to turn his attention toward the smoke at the back of the green train. And as that dissolves, is this timing gonna be on or off? The AWP player, Snacks, is actually trying to put himself in a prime position. I take AWP player, they're both on AWP, so double up setup right now for Virtus.Pro trying to get into this. Gun barrel spotted, but that's not going to present as Snacks tries to let patience work off. It's now he remaining versus two. Alu and Rain. And Alu with AWP goes for the slow peek. Back to the one-on-one. Snacks, how does he approach this, though? Climbing up in the train. Is this enough to make it work? Jump across. He'll be heard. And he's looking for the bomb the wrong direction, trying to find the last player. Nearly snaps it back in time, but Rain is there. And 11-1 still for FaZe.
Probably the closest chance they've had in a long time to actually closing a round out there. It was actually a 5-on-4, went down to a 5-on-3. Then the double orb started working out for them. You can see FaZe trying to close out the round as quickly as possible, but VP hitting all their shots. Comes down to the 1 versus 1, but they still can't find that finishing kill. It's going to go around to round number 13. I think at this point, we need to be buying every single round. We need to start getting something on the board here. 11-1's just not good enough. So it's going to be 4 AKs and a Galil in the hand of Snacks, and those orbs were reasonably successful, but they just don't have that as an option this round. It's going to be that outside smoke play once again. You see them lining up by the dumpsters. They're trying to get Alu set up towards that inside area, but have decided against it for now. Jacob's just working towards Pop Dog. So I'd assume this will be the outside play, but surely Jacob's going to get killed there. Looked like he had the advantage, but finally the man advantage does go towards VP, and they should get the bomb down here as well. It's looking pretty promising.
Easy again, though. Continuing to show some poise with the AWP. He'll find Viali as it leaves Kiyoshima inside of the site on top of the train. They go passive, so Smoke's effective to allow the default, but they push through. Snacks, aggressive as always through Smokes. This time Flash not successful. He goes down, and AZ's able to pick up yet another bomb. Did not get planted in all of this pandemonium, because now it's just Neo left in a 1 versus 3, make it 2. And low HP, mind you, right now on Kiyoshima. He knows he's in heaven. It's already been spotted. Surely he must. That call had to have been made. Either way, it's a tough task because they are trying to set a crossfire on this. Kio's not going to peek it till he has to, and that means Alu can try and catch him off with the AWP.
The problem is, Neo has so much time here. He's the master of this sort of scenario. The old veteran seems to be clutching these sort of rounds every single time, but they have spotted him this time. 30 seconds remain. He still has options as he climbs up to the middle track and going to be looking for that first kill. Kiyoshima can't really justify facing considering his HP. There's the shot though, and that was the opportunity. There it is. Neo takes it, but Kyo, you feel like he panicked a bit in that situation. Should have been coming out as soon as his teammate died and nailing that one, but it's Neo that does bring something to the table for VP this time. Their second round has been achieved, but the money's still in dire straits for them. You can see after that 1 versus 1, 3 players won't be able to fight. At this point, as soon as that happens, why is Kyo not hitting that shot? That should be a guaranteed kill. He's only got 50 HP, you need to land 3 bullets. He's not looking at you. And it was a bit of a whiff. I'd like to have seen that from his POV. See how much of a miss it was, but
either way, it was good. Isolation on Ali was quite good from Neo. He read that very well to try and catch him off, and it worked.
He's so strong in those scenarios. But it's going to be Snacks this time, taking down Rain. AZ will be challenged once more. This time it's Pasha. Very good at this pick, and that's exactly why headshots, of course.
That's lovely. I totally expected the jump peak, which in my opinion has become too, I guess, predictable on this map. Good recovery though from FaZe. Jacob drops bomb on the way through to A. Snacks. He's just gotten it back, but
he got the bomb back. Okay,
yeah, I think he was trying to smoke the bomb, but he actually got it on the first approach.
I thought he was like trying to smoke himself to get the bomb, but he already picked it up. That's okay.
Either way, Bialy, this is a good lurk in from him. He comes in late from Ivy. No one's expecting him. They've all got their attention toward the front of the site where bomb was down. He's able to pick up a kill out of this, and now it's Virtus.Pro once more with the advantage. And although we're at the end of the half, it's still important for them not to get reset here. It's important for them to pick up back-to-back so they can at least try and get 3 rounds total out of this. Double AWP again for Virtus.Pro. Last time they were in a WAWP 2 versus 2. Not common that situation really arises, to be honest. They did lose it. It went down to the 2 versus 1, and they weren't able to close it out. Snacks. Bomb going to go down on A. This will force Kiyoshima back through CT. The second player, Jacob, going to go towards Z connector, but Pasha's good positioning catches Kyo off. He would not have expected him to be so close to that stairwell. Now Jacob has to not only walk through smoke, but be quite quick about it, because oddly enough, he had no kit in all of that, considering the money they have, and Virtus.Pro do get the back-to-back rounds.
Just what they needed. This is still got a few more twists and turns, I think. I don't think it's going to be a clean cut, although FaZe have got a tremendous lead right now. And it's going to be the final round going to this one. If VP can pick up 4, there's definitely a possibility for them to run over on the CT side as well. A very strong train team for sure, and you can see FaZe don't have much to bring to the table into this round. The final round is going to be a Max 7, a CZ. There is an AWP on alley, but it's glass cannon, and then 2 M4s. So a bit of aggression needed. You can see that's exactly what Rain's going for this time. Wants to see if he can get that first pick. It hasn't been done before with the Max 7 here in this half, but he's going to get spammed down. Neo too aware, I'm afraid. Takes him down to kick things off. It's going to be a 5-on-4. Now VP going to sit back. They don't really need to overcommit at this stage. Wait for the mistakes to come in. You can see AZ repositioning himself, and maybe he flashes through here and tries to get that next pick, but it looks like it will be an inside play coming from VP. That's what we're talking about. They're trying to get the advantage back in the play.
Well, that doesn't work out at all. Snacks, though, okay. Pretty straightforward. Catches Keo. Alu goes down. Decent trades, and like you said, they had to do something. Now it's Jacob 1 versus 4. As he's... Might as well go for it. Minute to work with, round 15. Could catch a player off in this position if you did try and rotate in from ladder, but then the attention would all be turned. So really prolonging the inevitable, perhaps, with 50 seconds left to work with. Rain, again, leading scoreboard, 17 kills. Vugo actually was just tweeted out from Fragbite that remember we talked about this on the Drop the Bomb as well, that the original rumor was that JW was going out and Rain was going into Fnatic. He's still on this roster now, so just kind of talk about mental game, if there's any sort of longevity to Rain in this roster. He's still here. There was rumors he was leaving. Does that mean he wanted to leave? Does that just mean that that's how the finances went? You kind of have to think about those things in the internal thing. So it's nice to see him still top fragging and not, you know, bottom. If he was bottom, I'd say, okay, maybe there's something there.
I think it's just the opportunity to join a team like that. It's like, it's always going to be tantalizing, right? That's one of the biggest names in Europe, and FaZe hasn't been the most successful project, although they've had their moments and had like top 4 finishes and stuff like that. I'm sure we'll see what happens there. But we are going to go to a quick break, Matt. It's going to be the second half coming up, so do not go anywhere.
But welcome back, everyone. We were just discussing all this, you know, roster shuffle stuff that's been going on. It's a very cool time of the year, I think, with this player break that's hit us. And obviously, Alu playing a great game finally for FaZe. You said it last night, maybe not his best performance, but it was his first night with the team.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think it wasn't like a big planned move. It was like quite last minute. It was like they wanted to buy him out. Wasn't too happy at ends. This is a good opportunity. Took it, and I think it's got some legs to it. I think it's got a decent future. They're putting up good numbers here. 11-4. Potentially should have been a little bit of a bigger scoreline there. I think the last few rounds fell off a little bit. That big round from Kiyoshima towards the heaven position, that was for me, that was almost a guaranteed kill. And that could have been led to a huge landslide there. But 11-4 is still workable for VP.
Well, the thing is as well, I mean, it becomes... Well, it could become a factor. I'm not going to say it does become a factor. It could become a factor if Virtus.Pro is able to pick up this pistol.
Yeah.
They didn't have the best T side, which normally they do, so maybe that's an indication that they're not on tonight, but they are known for having very good CTs. They've changed it up, oddly enough, due to, I think, becoming stale. Kind of like Astralis was saying, they change things up because they become predictable. But we know Pasha, when he's at Ivy, is amazing. We know Snax is an excellent ladder. Taz is incredible at the B side. If they go with that traditional style, there's no reason to believe they couldn't actually pull this game back.
I'm always believing, you know?
You're usually, that's such a 180 from you. You used to be so negative.
Yeah, well, it's the sun. I've been actually getting a bit of sun today. I've been walking around. I look in the camera. I don't look as pale. I think I've looked two days of walking around in the sun. It's been all right. Maybe it's given me some optimism. You know? We'll see what happens. But yeah, 11-4 is definitely a comeback, Matt. Like you said, they get the pistol, first gun round. There's some force buys from FaZe. Things can spiral out of control pretty quickly in terms of the CT economy. So we'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting to see what FaZe brings to the pistol round, you know, because obviously a lot of teams do favor the inside bomb side. I normally say that's the safest bet to go towards because you're almost guaranteed the bomb plant there. Even if you lose the initial exchanges or the round doesn't go in your favor, you can still get a plant down and build up the future economy. But with this kind of lead here, the force buys aren't so much required from FaZe. They want to make sure they're coming in with the orbs in the first gun. They want to give that orb towards Aloe. We'll see whether they can do that. I'd like to see them close this out. I think they deserved it so far. It'd be nice to see him get a successful campaign with him joining the roster. I think he deserves a bit of glory again.
Would also put them 3-0 to start the year if they can pick up this map, which is, I think, look, we talked about it last night. We talked about it with all of the North America, Europe, all 4 seasons. If it goes this way, the previous 3 have all been, you know, the first 2 spots usually, okay, that's clear cut, but the 3rd to 4th, 5th, 6th in the league, remember 4 only go to LAN, are usually close. So 1 or 2 games can make all the difference.
Well, we are into the second half. It is going to be 5 sets of armor. This suggests a bit of a brawl. And it may be towards outside. There's going to be 2 players going towards upper halls. That'll be Taz taking down Rain to kick things off, and Pasha, he's going aggressive. Azy can hear him, but there it is. He takes him down. And I was expecting some sort of rush here when you have 5 sets of armor. Your options are very limited to actually get towards that outer side, but they have gained some momentum towards that area. They're going towards Ivy now as well. This kill pretty much decides the round. If Alec can get it, that would be case shut, but it's going to be equal exchanges for now. Kishima does answer back, and what a shot from Azy. Picks up the USP and just rips the head off Neo there. Just Taz remaining now 3 versus 1, doing what he can towards the connector area. It's very scrappy, but JKM gets the final kill, and it's going to be FaZe taking the pistol here. And I'll say, had VP won that, a comeback definitely was on the cards here, Matt. So now we need to work out what's the next move from VP. I think the force bite is going to be coming in. So Desert Eagles, CZs, and a scout as well. So they really need to win this round and have a chance of getting back into this game. If they don't, it's going to be 13-4, and then on a full eco as well, so pretty much 14-4 at that stage. And we'll see what FaZe bring to the table. 2 rifles, 3 SMGs, one of which is a Mac 10 in the hands of Aloe. He's trying to farm the money, of course, to even get the AWP in that first gun round. If he can find 2 or 3 kills, almost guarantees it. What a grenade that was, and JKM finishes off Neo, but Bialy with the 1D. Not going to be enough to win the round by the looks of things. Going down very low HP.
That bounce nade, too. That didn't do any favors to Snax, as when he repeats, Kio's going to finish him off anyway, but AZ there to take Bialy, and Taz, well, not much room to work in there. The Devil, no room to play.
Yeah. That's one of your famous catchphrases, isn't it?
Which is that?
The one you just said.
Is it?
Yeah. It's the favorite one, my favorite one, the Sadikist.
The one time I've said it 10 seconds ago, Henry?
Yeah, it's my favorite one. Okay, so like I said, this is a horrible situation for VP now. 13-4 almost guaranteed to be 14-4. Money won't be great in the first gun round, probably won't be able to get the AWP. I think Snax actually had some residual cash. Maybe he'll be okay for that first all, but Rain, he's having a good time with the Mac 10. Makes his way towards the outer side, gets Bialy, and the round pretty much is over now. There it is, Snax drops as well. So much money being farmed. Mac 10's all over the place, and they'll be chucking into the bomb site first to try and get that extra $600 per kill.
And Taz, 1 versus 5. 1 versus SMGs and AK. Yeah, all right, Mr. Positive. I think you need to slow
Stay out of the sun,
down
Henry.
a little bit. Yeah, too much sun for you. Maybe too much something else if you're that optimistic. Rain, he's going to go hunting with that Mac 10. Taz will hear him coming, so chance he can try and get a crosshair placement headshot when he walks through, but times that wrong, and Rain will now pick up 4 kills in the round, all with SMG. He's already thrown that away, indicative of the fact he's going to upgrade, and AWP comes out on Alu because this is it for Virtus.Pro. Last-ditch effort. Snax brings out the AWP for them, but what can he do with it?
No incendiaries, no kits, no HEs, and a couple of flashbangs and some smokes. This is going to be a tough round. Someone needs to step up. This is the bonus round for FaZe for sure. They're going to try and win. If they win this one, it's obviously over at that point. They've got so much cash at that point. This is a fast rush. An audacious play from the terrorist there, straight out to connector. And it's going to be Kiyoshima getting that first kill as well. He gets a double, rips the head off Neo. bialy trying to do what he can at Ivy, but he's smoked out from the main entrance. So he has to fall back, reposition himself. The bomb will be planted as well. That's by Jacob, and he's watching as he tries to lurk out here. This round is so difficult for them to do anything with. They haven't got the flashes to actually get themselves in decent position. 4-on-2 now. Pasha does find the kill, but still so much work to do. No kit, remember, Matt.
I got something in my eye, Henry, but I'll cast anyway.
Go on, try it, 1-on.
I usually am pretty blind and miss things, so it won't make a difference. Kiyoshima and AZ. Okay, I don't even need to cast. They've already finished the round. It's map point. Pretty straightforward for FaZe. They're just absolutely isolating, taking them down. Good entry, I have to say, considering they a lot of utility, to go against them, but it's not like they made VP work hard for it.
That's like a dream round for FaZe, right? You know you've got a huge advantage, you're so close, you've got a lot of rounds to play with here. They're not going to have the best buy here, they're not going to have the incendiaries to stop a rush, so you just go for the straight-up brawl outside. And it's Kiyoshima going out first. He actually lands both kills as well. What a great opener that is, and now it's 15-4 match point. This is not a series. Each map counts as a win, and it's going to be the famous 2 shotguns, an MP9 and a CZ to try and hold off this final round. If I'm honest, I'm not really believing this time. This is going to be a case of FaZe. They're slowing things down. They know the CTs have to work with some kills here. They've got nothing to work with. They're going to be bled out if they just sit there and wait for the execution. So someone needs to be finding a kill. I'm looking on the minimap. No one's really going for any aggression here. We have got one player in Neo towards inside. But this is a case in point of just trying to feel it out with bialy there with the Famous. Does get the first kill, so now they do have something to work with.
Snacks does have his shotgun up in his favorite position, the ladder room. Ooh. Opportunity to try and flank out Rain, but they take down Neo at the inner site, and bialy gets caught in the open in A, which pulls Snacks back to A main. They're still thinking this is going to be on the A side. Okay. As Pasha pushes all the way through, their last chance is Taz. He's bought himself some space here, and they're going to try and put the bomb in a better position back towards CT, but he runs out of ammo, and Jacob immediately takes him down. That could have been interesting enough, because if Taz was able to win both those duels, they thought they were going for the safe plant based on rotation. Either way, a chance to capitalize, and Snacks will get the post plant immediately taken care of as Jacob has nowhere to run.
Well then, somehow the shotguns prevail, and it's Pasha pushing towards Ivy, and Snacks finding Alu at main entrance as well. That round does fall apart for FaZe, but still, they've got a ton of money here. VP do need to reinvest into this round. There's only 1 on the board for them. They do manage to save an AWP and an AK-47. They're still going to be struggling with these reinvestments, but you can see FaZe, tons of money available. Ali does get the AWP. 3 AKs so far. Rain, I'm sure he's been dropped a weapon. AZ has 7K in the bank right now, so he's probably been dropped an AK. They're probably just going to a straight-up default here. Wall of smokes, trying to get the bomb down. They're still in a very good position. He's going to take 10 rounds in a row now from VP just to force overtime. So still no time to get excited just yet, but VP do find one.
Taz, again, is anchoring this B side. He's called Neo over a little bit earlier this time than what we might normally see. Again, I kind of named it the Taz spot on the opposite side of the bomb train where he plays the wide angle to force them to commit. Some he's a little bit tighter because he's got the support earlier and he's going to focus on upper instead. M4 in hand for Jacob and Rain to try and confront when they do walk through. And as we see it in the X-ray, of course, it's only for the spectators. Those of you who don't know, there's a third player joining in that as well. And Taz, he finds the first Neo, his support system. He'll take down Alu, but now he's got to do all the work himself because, unfortunately, Taz has gone down. Bomb dropped. It's AZ lurking late on A site. This might amount to 1 because it might not be unexpected at this point in time, but bialy's still searching for it. Timing, though, he looks the wrong way. There it is, though. As I said, only for 1. As soon as they figure out that that's where he is, takes him down, and we're at least going to get a few more rounds out of this now as Virtus.Pro, okay, brought the economy down to within range, but they still have enough to buy out an AWP on this FaZe side.
Yeah, I think one player had 9K or so he's dropped over an AWP. And it's Kiyoshima, he must have the decent spawn here, which he does. So he'll be going for that straight-up main pick, I'm assuming. Maybe towards Ivy, see if he can just get that first kill and then fall back. We'll see what he decides to do. It will be towards main. If he can get that, that opens up a lot of opportunity here. But this time, VP have got the double AWP set up here, trying to dig their heels and get into this game. And it's going to be the shot rattled off by Kiyoshima, but he was blind, so it was a bit of a pop shot. Doesn't work out for him. And Pasha now does sense some movement towards Ivy. Has a little spot, didn't get anyone just yet, and it's up to Rain. Hoping with the AK-47 he can blow his head off, but we'll see how it works out.
Pasha smoked off. The standard Ivy smokes. Interesting to throw the Molotov right as well, so there can't be a counter peek from Snax. It lets them get up the hallway. Now they should isolate onto him as the smoke's still out, but what a shot! As the flash comes out, Snax nails it up close, quick scope, and he'll fade away towards Hell because he has to watch the front of the site. That smoke should dissolve in him doing so, so the timing should actually favor Pasha in all of this, and it does. He walks through, bomb goes down, good crossfire set for Virtus.Pro, and it's just Kiyoshima left. 1 versus 4, already found, already damage dealt, but he gets 1 kill before finally falling to the flank of Neo.
Well, now it's starting to get a little bit interesting because that's broken the economy of FaZe here, so they won't be able to buy going to round number 8 here. The double orb setup is going to be still available for VP. And it's going to be Neo and Snax. Means you can probably have one towards inside, towards that upper ramp as discussed before, then one towards Ivy. 3 rifles outside. Can be a very strong setup indeed. We'll see what they decide to do here. But this buy from FaZe will just be Tech-9s, Deagles, P250, a bit of body armor. He's actually gone for head armor. And no grenades. It's not really much you can do with this. You need at least a few smokes down to even think about the bomb. The Rain with the Deagle does die straight away.
Underwhelming.
Yeah.
I was liking the way you built that up.
Yeah, I was hoping to get the 1D and we could go crazy, but didn't happen.
Well, they've got information on that jump toward Ivy that the AWP is in the hands of Pasha at that position. How do they approach that? Well, they'll leave at least 1 player there, but they're not going to approach it first. AZ's got the shot, nearly lines up a second. Instead, though, he goes down to Bialy, who finds Alu, and Taz will close it out. But they had to go from the front of the site rather than Ivy. As soon as they realized that AWP was there, they had to pull it out of position. So AZ's entry almost caused chaos, but not quite, as they handled it quite well. It is now 15-8, still in favor of FaZe, quite obviously. But for those of you tuning in black and white.
You can do that every day at Pro League?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because there's not much context to it, but...
You don't need context.
It's
just need imagination.
An English 70s joke that we've done at a previous
no context.
tournament.
Imagination's better.
Okay. Well, round number 9 comes in. We have got the all back in the hands of Alu. He is facing towards main entrance, and no one facing him for now. Bialy's quite far back. He's got the rifle in hand. And it's going to be Pasha and Snax once again on those double orbs. You can see it's a full-on default right now from FaZe. No one really committing right now. They have got control of upper platforms here, so that does open an opportunity to go for an inside execution if required. I feel like the defaults aren't really making any picks available for them, so maybe that's a good call for them right now. They've got control of this one area. Taz and Neo playing very defensively indeed, and that's a decent incendiary. That will force Alu back towards T-spawn. Bomb is still down in that area as well, so they're not really going to be making a move anytime soon. Got control of inside, and now just falling back, and they want to pick first. That's what they're aiming for here. Pasha, though, he's got the same mentality. Well, what is this jump about? Playing on fire.
Yeah, they didn't spot him. And Alu goes down. That's actually a pretty quick shot from Pasha, to be fair. Jumping is all the rage, Henry. Kiyoshima headshots are all the rage. Snax gets munched on, and Kiyoshima drops down, catches off Bialy fast enough. FaZe, this might be the round, or is it? Neo says absolutely not quite that easy. Hasn't said no entirely, though, because AZ's got him back, and now, with Taz falling, it's Pasha 1 versus 2 to try and keep this alive for Virtus.Pro. As FaZe, they've been on map point for some time, but haven't been able to convert it, and this time they will. Jacob's got the shot on Pasha. FaZe go 3-0 to start off Pro League. Virtus.Pro, okay, something to work with on the CT side, but again, came out really flat.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. That first half was very underwhelming. Their T-side economy was limited for so long. They only got Snax in the AWP maybe 1 or 2 times, and that didn't really have much impact. 4 rounds, it looked a bit more promising to get towards the end of the first half, but ultimately, after losing the pistol in the second, it's just a matter of time before they dropped that one. We discussed their online form, like, throughout the 2016 so far. We thought, okay, they've got a second chance now in Pro League, but still not really arriving as of yet.
Not at all. Even in the game they won against NIP, it was an overtime game.
On the map that NIP don't really play that much.
Exactly, overpass, and that's where I was kind of going. So we're still seeing issues. Again, it's good to get a win out of the way early, but this isn't a series. It is 2 best of 1s, so they have a chance to try and bring this back on the second map. But first, we're going to talk about that map, and to do so, we'll send it back over to Alex and the desk.
Thanks very much, you two. A fantastic start then to our next set of games. And does your job ever get difficult, Yanko, when you try and do predictions and just nothing makes sense?
My job is always difficult, Alex, especially when it comes to online games after a vacation.
So, I mean, you have to just kind of put that into perspective. I mean, we've seen VP recently pick up wins versus Mouse Sports, Fnatic, NIP, and then they fall so convincingly versus FaZe on Train.
I mean, when it comes to these games, you might as well just roll the dice, basically, when it comes to who's going to win. I mean, we were, talking about it briefly yesterday, how VP is more comfortable against teams who are more tactical, more strategic, rather than teams who are just, run and gun play style, loose play style, but it didn't really matter as much in this particular game because they had an awful T side, which is something that's uncharacteristic for VP, and I think it all came down to that round number 5. So they were down 3-0. They win the first gun round. Then in the round after that, the reset round, pretty much, they get the entrance onto the B bomb site onto Kiyoshima, and then they just throw a 5v4 with the bomb planted with some aggression. I understand that. You want to push the bomb site. You want to take the game to the CTs because you don't have many places to hide in the back of the B bomb site. But the thing is, you need to do it properly. You know, you need to be. It needs to be coordinated. I think you can see the fact that players came back from like a vacation because it was every man for himself, pretty much. They lose that round and they're forced to eco, and they were down 11-1. And Neo wins a 1v4 to get the second round.
It was actually quite a poor game to watch, if I'm completely honest. Like, let's be very real about it.
Be real.
Virtus.Pro just incredibly underwhelming on a map that they're meant to be incredibly strong on. That I guess this is the purest example of the inconsistencies that come along with this team throughout. You add in the fact of the holiday coming through as well. And FaZe is just the same. They had an incredibly hit and miss day previously where they had incredibly close games on maps like this and, you know, got pushed to limits they shouldn't have been, and now they've come out again and been a lot stronger. I do want to highlight, though, at least one really big benefit for me was that Alu actually had a bit of an impact in this. He was far more active in the way he was showing presence on that B site, you know, far more supportive of Keo, at least in the previous way that they played. They were feeling very separate. They didn't quite have that cohesion together, but at least on that CT side, he was there a lot more, and he was being far more active in this, and then, you know, just rushing at people with Glocks, because that makes sense.
Yes, indeed. Now, one of the things that you highlighted yesterday, or was highlighted yesterday regarding their train performance, was Keo and being an integral part of their defense, basically having to post up on B. Was that encountered at all this time? Was there a change necessary, or is it just a case of they did so well on their defensive side without him?
I don't think he got pressured as much as he did yesterday. Like, let's be very real. He was fine. He was being a little more aggressive, I guess, towards the halls every now and then. He'd push up. He got a couple, and he might overstay his welcome every now and then. He got punished a couple of times for it, but by that point, already the rest of FaZe had, you know, come over and helped him. This was the really smart Glock push that just makes sense. But no, again, it's just FaZe were a little quicker on the trigger this time on their rotates, being a little bit quicker to support that B site if required. And that was about it, really. I'd love to say it was more that you could, you know, be really impressed with the gameplay that they brought up, but I feel that Virtus.Pro weren't pushing as hard. Let's be honest, that B hit that was coming out from Team X previously was actually pretty well constructed, and there was really few comparisons away from that.
So it's this kind of, it's the style that really messes with VP. I mean, it was a question I was frustrated I didn't ask actually in the pre-match. I remember I said it to you afterwards, like, oh, actually, you know, one of the things we always talk about Virtus.Pro is if you have structure, they will read into you and they'll do very well against you. Whereas teams like FaZe, we always criticize them for not having structure, and they just walk over them. Does it make sense to you from a player's perspective, Yenko, that this still happens, that this still, you see teams without structure beating teams that have such rigid structure?
It does, in a sense that you disrupt the team that has structure by some aggressive plays, but it's not really what happened in this particular game, right? Even though generally that's the case, I don't think that was the case on this map. I just felt that VP didn't do good enough of a job on their T side, pushing through to the bomb sites, right? You could see most of the times were just ended in elimination, not in defuses, so they couldn't even get the bomb down.
Sometimes it is just that simple. It is just they weren't good enough, and that seems like it's going to be the bottom line for our first map in the series. We do have another one, though. Mirage to look forward to after the break. And when we do take one, another reminder about the Score Esports application. It can go ahead and understand exactly what was going wrong for them. Have a look at the stats and see who was the main underperformer for the Polish side as they're going to try and bounce back onto Mirage. After 5 minutes, we'll be right back with your second map.